Hello, my name is Ana Lancon, and my project is analysis of leader surveys in 2015 and 2016. So what is litter? Litter is trash or toxic waste that was not decomposed or disposed correctly. It includes various things like paper, cans, bags, and the most common types in the streets are plastic bottles, and as you can see in this graph, those types do not decompose and are dangerous for our environment. So these are some pictures that I took from Elizabeth, and this picture was after July 1st, and as you can see, people threw the garbage and the recycling bin, the watermelon, and in this one is one of the streets, and here are some plastic bottles and a plate. Here are more pictures, and this is John's Cove, and as the water rises, you can see this litter, and as I said, like it's most common water bottles or glass bottles. So why is it a problem? It is a problem because it's becoming a bigger thing to deal with, and the public may not be aware of how to deal with it, or they don't know the effects of or the dangers of this type of waste. And the goal of this study for me was to measure the level of awareness in the community and see the changes between 2015 and 2016. So the process was that I gave a survey from 2015 to the residents of Elizabeth during National Night Out, and there were 30 surveys, one for Spanish and one for English, so there were 30 each, a total of 60 surveys. Some surveys were not counted because people chose more than one answer or didn't choose nothing at all. So the questions included demographics, litter quantity, and the neighborhood and health hazards. I used SurveyMonkey to record the responses and analyze the results. The first question was, what is your age? It included mostly above 18 to 50 years old. I didn't get much of the 60s and older, as you can see in this graph. Mostly in the middle. What is your highest level of educational attainment? As you can see in 2015, the Spanish version was mostly high school, and the English version was mostly college or graduates. And this year, there was an increase in the graduates for the Spanish, but still the majority was high school. And the English was mostly the same, majority is college or graduates. This is another question, is English your first language? This was the English side, which was mostly yes, it's the first language, and this is the Spanish side. So how much litter do you see in your neighborhood? Mostly, in this year, 2016, mostly people said little to moderate amounts of litter. In 2015, the Spanish said they saw mostly lots of litter by this gray bar, and the English mostly moderate amounts by the orange bar. So why do you think there is litter? Mostly people agree that it was the lack of knowing the effects of litter, as you can see in the blue bar, in both years. So do you think litter has an impact in your family's health? Both of them agree that yes, it has an impact on the family health. So how does litter impact your family's health? Mostly they said, in this year, they said it brings more insects. In 2015, they said more bacteria or germs, like the gray bar, in both languages, or in the English, there was a tie between release of toxic waste and bacteria and germs. But in 2016, it was mostly brings more insects. So should the government do something about this? People agree that yes, in 2015, yes, they should do something, and in 2016, yes. Some people also said like it's the responsibility of the people to do something. So what should the government do? Well, in the English version they said more fines or enforcement. In the Spanish version they said a civic standard. In 2015 it was different. The English version said civic standard, and the Spanish version said more enforcement fines. So the results were switched for the languages. So what should be done to stop the litter problem? The majority this year was to educate others. As the same as the 2015, they said the same thing. The majority said educate others. Although, yeah, some said practice being litter-free, but the majority was education. So in my conclusion, it's like most the college students and professionals increased for Spanish, and still the majority was the high school students. And the majority said this year that there was little to moderate amounts of litter, and that the government should do something, and it's necessary to educate the public. They also said that they were more preoccupied about the insects in litter than bacterial toxic waste. So what's next? I believe next is raising more awareness of this problem. Not a lot of people know the effects and get involved. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just like don't throw your garbage. If you have some garbage, and throw it in the streets. Take it home or with you, or locate it near the trash bin and let it go. So you should get in, participate as a community too. If we are more informed and act as a community, it's better than just an individual. And we should teach the younger generation and practice being litter-free. Here are some acknowledgements. City of Elizabeth, Dixon Butler, DuPont, Elizabeth River Arthur, FCI Interns, Future City Inc., Historical Society, Jersey City, Minnesota County College, New Jersey B2B, New Jersey DEP, AJC PRD, and residents of Elizabeth, Rutgers University, Union County College. Thank you.
Okay, so hi, my name is Tatiana Leguizamon. I'm a student of Union County College. I'm doing my associate in science and engineering. So today I'm going to talk about the litter boom prototype. It's a prototype that I've been working since March with some high school students, but this summer I tried to improve this prototype. So first I'm going to talk a little more about like what is a storm. So a storm plays a really important role for the community, because it drains all excess of rain before it gets accumulated and go to our sewers. So litter in the storms, as you know, litter is accumulation of garbage. All of this garbage is in our storms, getting to our sewers and contaminate our water. So storms in Elizabeth, the city of Elizabeth uses a combined sewer system. That means sanitary waste and storms are joined together. So as the picture shows, all the sanitary waste and the storms are joined together. So the sanitary waste, when it's not raining, goes to a treatment plant. But when it's a heavy rain, goes together and ends in a sewer because it's a small sewer. So the city of Elizabeth created like a netting facility. It is before it goes to our water, so it catches all of the garbage. So most of the garbage usually are plastic. So last year, the city of Elizabeth removed 141.7 tons of garbage and 7 tons for the streets. So that's kind of the idea of my prototype. I decided to create this to catch the garbage before it gets through the storm. So the material that I used for this prototype was recyclable soda bottle, plastic water mesh, and silicone glue. That's where I decided to put my prototype. Why I decided to do it was because it was a critical zone of flooding. So that's like the idea of where I put my prototype. That's the procedure of this project. So this was the first prototype, and we removed it. We also cleaned the storm every time that we went. This is the before and after of my project, so that's what it changed. So many people ask me like why I decided to take this prototype. It was because it was difficult for the public workers to remove each wire mesh from the barrel. So I decided to take it. 2 days after I take my prototype, you see that shows a critical zone of garbage, and then I put my prototype. I have a problem, the glue doesn't tape correctly, so I have to do it again this process, and that was my result. It catch some of the garbage, but like I think the next step of this project is to put one barrel on the back so more garbage can be catch. So that's all of the people that I want to thank for helping me in this project. So thank you for all of them, and that's the end of my project. So thank you so much.
Alright, hello everyone, my name is Wilson Melendez, and I was working with the underwater ion camera, and I like to make mine a little bit of a pun there, keeping an eye on our waters. So to introduce my whole project, I was working in both the Elizabeth waterfront and also Orsino Park. Now in Elizabeth waterfront, there seemed to be a lot of litter there that has been tossed over the rails, as well as most litter that I was trying to look at, I couldn't really see over the surface of the waters. I had to use the camera to see truly what was under those waters, due to how murky the water was. During low tide, I actually saw some puddles that seemed to have some type of oily chemical there, that it was unknown to me at that time, especially now. But in Orsino Park, there was also a bunch of litter there where fish were actually laying their eggs on. So it seemed to me that they were trying to adapt to the situation and the problem that we're giving them. So this whole project itself is just to give people awareness to what truly is happening out in those waters in Elizabeth. So one of the set of tools that I was using was an ion camera, and I decided to use a string on it just to cast it out there further, seeing how in the Elizabeth waterfront there are signs that say no swimming, no fishing, no boating, etc. So I felt the best idea was to just cast it out and see what we can see under those waters. One of the other things that we were lucky to use was the Hadron chest waders, as you see in the middle right there. And we decided with this we can go much further walking out, especially in Orsino Park where there are some areas that is really deep. So the last thing you see all the way to your right is the one that we mainly used, was the Ion Airport camera on a selfie stick with a McCree flashlight. And that truly helped us to see during those times in the murky water, when we're walking during the shores, and you'll get to see a little bit of that further on. So one of the main areas that we worked in was the Elizabeth waterfront. And if you can see all the way over here, this is Marcion Jackson Millen Park. Now from here, all the way, this whole corner, all the way down to the bottom, is what we've been working with. That is the Elizabeth waterfront. Marcion Jackson Millen Park, all the way down to Veterans Park there. And I actually have one of the videos that we've done, or collaged together, for the Elizabeth waterfront right over here. So I'm just going to press play here and kind of explain to you guys what I truly saw. So this is the Elizabeth waterfront when I went during June. And as you can see, there's some litter and some debris around there, as well as a jellyfish that we actually found that was in between high and low tide, somewhere in the middle. And you can see some of the debris and other things that it's been surrounded by. Now, in the next bit of it, you see actually some murky water, but what you really notice is the dead pierced crabs that are on the bottom of there. So you can see one right there, and you can also see, as I go back, right there. So what's next is actually what I like to call the litter tide. So a boat passed by and a bunch of waves came, and all you see is nothing but a bunch of litter that truly passed by, started hitting the camera. And when you look at the top of the surface, you don't see all that. When you see the waves hit the camera, you can see all the type of things that are under the water that you can't see. So a few seconds later, after that whole experience, I look to my left and I see surrounded by litter was a jellyfish, a second one that I've seen. And during this time, I've seen a total of 8 jellyfish during that time. So right next to that jellyfish, I decided to walk a little bit further and show the other jellyfish right next to it, surrounded again by litter. I'll zoom in eventually to show you guys the jellyfish right there. So this was another day that I came in during a low tide, and then this is what I saw, some type of oily substance in these little bits of puddles, and they seemed very concentrated within these areas. Again, I don't know what this was, but it was there. And sea snails in a tire in Johns Cove. I kicked the tire and they actually decided to squirt water back at me. So as I was walking further, I noticed a larger dead crab. And even in this time in June was a bunch of dead crab, but in July we also came back. And again, during another low tide, we found more dead crab there. And they seem to be peers. Potentially it could have been fishermen or it could have been some other type of reasoning. We don't know the direct reasoning. But we also found some type of small fish in that low tide in a puddle trying to survive until high tide. So this is just one of the videos that we actually have, and this is just to show you guys truly one of the issues there. I also have a video here for you guys to see of Orsino Park during July. So over here, this is when we had the selfie stick camera again, and we also had the Hodgman chest waders. And this is just showing just a little bit in the beginning of what we found. But then we found a bottle with fish eggs actually on it. And you can see them right over, as I wipe the camera from the water, you see them right there in the center. And we actually found a ceramic plating that also had fish eggs, so it's showing that they're trying to adapt. Here we just decided to have a little bit of fun during that hot day and take a little bit of a selfie, just as a little fun joke. But as we walked a little bit further into the deep waters, we found a blue women's wallet there that someone may have just misplaced. So I decided to kick it up and truly see up close what it looked like. And during that time, there was a person's information, but we decided to leave it. We decided not to mess with it. But yes, that was one of the things. We also found a DVD case that unfortunately we cannot tell what DVD, because it was ripped, as you see right there. And then we found right next to that, it would appear to be some type of like top of a cooler. And it looks like it's been there for a long time, because as I flip it around, you see how dirty it is. So later on, we see a wooden pole with a bunch of litter that's on it, or a bunch of it would appear to be was clothing. Unfortunately, this was too heavy for me to kick up this time. And right next to it, a few seconds later, I see another car tire under the waters with a bunch of different debris. So after this, we went under the bridge in North Avenue, and we found more litter. We found a scraper for your car. We found bottles, we found bags, whatever you want, there's there. Cigarettes, cigarette boxes, you name it. And truly, you couldn't see this without the flashlight and the camera going under the water. As you'll see, eventually I will lift up the camera and you will see the surface of the water right there, how dirty it is. But if you look down, you will not see any type of thing there. And that's just bringing awareness to people. So, again, to conclude, I'm just showing that there is still a large amount of water, a large amount of litter under the water. And, you know, there are some sites that we've seen, like, again, the oily substances that we've seen. That was one of the 5 times that I've seen it. So, you know, the idea that there might be some stuff under the murky water proved to be correct. And, you know, people need to be aware in terms of if they're catching fish and trying to eat it, they need to be aware of the conditions that the water or the life that are in the water are living, so that, you know, they're not taking anything that is harmful to them as well. So we need to work together. By looking at all this, we need to work together to prevent any more litter, as well as try to get some of the litter out there from those waters. And, you know, this problem will not go overnight. But if we can start now, maybe perhaps by having some type of day where it's a cookout and the city can maybe fund this in some sort of way, people can take plastic bags and whatever litter they can collect together, hand it back, and maybe get a free meal of a burger or something. But just give the initiative and, you know, show people truly, you know, there is a bunch of litter out there and we need to be aware of this. So that's my presentation. I wanted to say a bit of thank yous here. to the Governor's Hispanic Fellows Program, which gave me the opportunity to work with Future City Inc. for this internship. And some of the people that I worked with, Bernardo, Maria, and some of the equipment I used, which was the Iron Airpro camera, obviously, and the hydrant chest waders. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bernardo Perez. I'm a Future City Inc. intern. My major is biotechnology. I'm studying currently over at Middlesex County College and participating through the New Jersey B2B program. So my project's title is Water Qualities You Like About Your Water. Water as in what are. Add a little pun to make the situation very friendly, but then once we get into the very serious situation of the water qualities, it gives like a little welcoming, but it does get serious. Okay, so to start, Elizabeth, New Jersey is home to multiple water bodies with a variety of plants and animals. Due to the urbanization of these areas, there has been a lot of industrialization within these water bodies that over time have led to contamination. The issue now is the fish within these water bodies are actually not safe to consume. They're toxic, and there is a plethora of signs warning about fishing in these areas. If you don't know where Elizabeth, New Jersey is, over on this map, the little star symbolizes where Elizabeth is, and then on the right you have a map of Union County, where Elizabeth is located to the right. What locations I analyzed were three types of locations: a marine water body, an estuary water body, and a river type water body. The reason for that is they all play a role in water testing, and they all have some sort of contact with one another. So the specific locations I analyzed were Johns Cove at low and high tide. This is a marine water body. To Elizabeth Marine at low and high tide. This was the estuary water body. And then Racino Dam at the pre-dam, which is before the dam, and the post-dam. And this is the river type water. So, little background on Johns Cove. Johns Cove is located in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's nestled between industrial areas, which has exposed it to a large contact with dioxins, mercury, and other toxins. The issue with this is it is contaminating the fish within this area. So the New Jersey State Department of Environmental Protection for fish, shellfish, and blue claw crab encourage fishermen not to fish due to the toxicity of these shellfish and fish. And people that do fish are encouraged to catch and release. This is a data chart of the water testing I did perform. We see in the chart there's offsets from the EPA standard for carbon dioxide, coliform bacteria, and hardness. All these affect the conditions of animals' lifestyles and living and development. Next, I analyzed the Elizabeth Marina. Elizabeth Marina is located in Elizabeth, New Jersey waterfront. It's right off Front Street, and it's between the mouth of the Elizabeth River and Veterans Park. Multiple personal and shipping boats run through this area on a daily basis, which, when they run through, have their offset from the boat. Anything comes off the boat will come directly into contact with the water, affecting the ecosystems, causing pollution. So these are the data charts that I wrote for these areas. Here we have an offset in carbon dioxide, an offset in phosphates, and an offset in coliform bacteria and hardness. These phosphates are actually originated from industrial byproduct waste. So since these shipment boats are coming by, we can hypothesize that some of them are releasing toxins and byproduct waste into the waterways. Not much changes from low and high tide, pH changes, hardness changes, phosphate changes, but apart from that, they're pretty similar in numbers. The Racino Dam along the Elizabeth River is a location that came to be In 1927, when a residential area was built around the river, and due to constant floodings, they had to implement a dam to control the water flow and prevent floodings within the neighborhoods. Since there are 2 CSOs, which are pipes that are put in place for whenever there's a storm, that there's an overflow coming out of the pipes and goes directly into the waterways. So the problem with this is that this is untreated water, and any chemicals are going to go directly into the waterways. The area before the dam is filled with wildlife, as you can see by this picture. There's a lot of trees, plants. Within the water there's different fish and algae. But after the dam, it's a concrete barren land where the only wildlife that's present is due to overflow from the river during storm time. These are my data charts that I made for the pre-dam and the post-dam of the Racino Dam. Here we have offsets in carbon dioxide, offsets in salinity, coliform bacteria, and hardness at the pre-dam was actually at a standard level, which was not a trend among the rest of the waterways, but in the post-dam it was offset. Leading to this, we have the equipment that I use. I use a remote water analysis kit, an anoscope microscope, an ion water camera, and a Hamilton bell dissection camera. The effects of this contamination on animals. Animals that inhabit these waters are directly affected due to the thousands of gallons of water that passes through their lungs on a daily basis and throughout their lifetime. This accumulates in their gills, leading to respiratory problems and premature death. Filter feeders are the most affected, mostly because they do both respiration and filtration. So they're not only taking in the water for respiratory reasons, but they're also ingesting what is in the water, which later on accumulates in their livers, causing hypothesized birth defects and various other issues that are up for further research. These are a couple pictures we took on site. On the left we have pictures from Racino Dam. Here we have a picture of the CSO itself, where you can see debris collecting at the top of the pipe. With the help of Wilson Melendez, my partner's water camera, we were able to see there's a large amount of debris below this that is not that cannot be seen unless the water camera is present, which is why his project was of such high importance, to show the world the stuff that you see is not always what there is in our waters. Here we have a picture that me and Wilson took while we were over in the waterfront. You know, very nice area, so we decided to take a picture together. There's also down here a plan that we found, and as I said before, the post dam is a barren area made of cement and concrete. So this is actually the post dam, where you can see there's no wildlife whatsoever due to the fact that it is cement, and the animals within the area are only there present because they were overflow from a heavy storm. In the center we have the Elizabeth Marina, where you can see on the top we have some people fishing, and some people actually behind the barrier fishing. These people in specific were taking the fish home for unknown reasons, possibility of consumption, selling, whatever it may be. But they are encouraged to catch and release or not fish at all. But since they are fishing, the encouragement to catch and release is the least that they're expecting. But these people were not following that either. On the bottom you can see a commercial boat floating through the Elizabeth Marina. Now on the right we have some pictures from Johns Cove. On the top right of the pictures of Johns Cove we have an area during low tide that was filled with oil from contamination that is unknown for the source, but it should not be there. There shouldn't be oils accumulated in such high concentrations in small areas like that. On the top left of the Johns Cove pictures, we have a tractor tire, which has become a landmark within Elizabeth. it's become a landmark within Elizabeth because this tire actually doesn't move. So if someone knows Johns Clovis Health and you tell them you're going to meet them at the tractor tire, you can actually narrow it down to that location because everyone knows where that location is if you're familiar with the area. And then the bottom two pictures are a picture of a crab that was unpierced and later dissected, and on the bottom left is a picture of a jellyfish that was washed up ashore. Then these are a couple pictures of dissections that I performed. The purpose of my crab dissection was to see the unpierced crabs, to observe the innards of the crabs, see how they are. I was planning on extracting the livers, placing them into water and homogenizing them to extract the contaminants that was within their livers. But when I opened the crabs, they appeared to be empty within the center. And the only thing that was there was the gills and the eyes. The bottom left is an oyster that I found and I dissected. When I compared the image of the oyster that I found to images from oysters from other areas, the tissue of this oyster was darker. It could be for different species of oyster, but it could also be due to contamination. These are all hypotheses and not proven yet. And then on the top right, I have a picture of some fish eggs, which I stained with methylene blue, which is a compound which highlights the membrane of the egg. And then on the bottom one, I have a picture of a leaf, algae leaf, and each of the little squares on the bottom is actually a cell. So to finish, what can people do to help with this? What can you, the audience, and along us FCI help with this? You can spread awareness, so if you have family members nearby, you can explain to them the conditions of the waterfront and what is going on in the Elizabeth waterfront and why they shouldn't fish or do anything near the water where you come in direct contact with the water. Also become active in your community. If you're changing the oil in your car, do it in a safe location away from the storm drain and with a safety pan on the bottom to make sure that excess oil does not overspill into the water. And also notify authorities the proper disposal of waste. If you see someone dumping oil in a location that they shouldn't be dumping oil, like for example a mechanic trying to cut costs by dumping oil down the storm drain, notify the authorities. And the last one, push for improvements within the Elizabeth water disposal. At the bottom of your ballots, when you vote for presidential elections, state elections, there's actually some check boxes for improvements you would like your tax money to go towards. There are a couple check boxes focusing on increasing the budget for the water disposal in Elizabeth. So that is all. These are my acknowledgments and who I'd like to thank for helping us perform everything that we've done. And thank you so much for your time.